Welcome, folks, to episode 3 of the OG Duffy Podcast. It's just me and Mrs. OG this time out. It is. Anyway, we've got a special one. We're niching down for this one, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing a little thing.
And we've got a title for it, and it is this. Episode 3, Childhood Nostalgia, Wagon Wheels and Welly Boots. I never owned a pair of Welly boots growing up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you've got a pair now? Oh, no. Have you got a pair now? Yeah, they're in the shed.
Anyway, we digress already. But what we're going to do, we're going to be talking about sort of some of our nostalgic memories of growing up and stuff like that. Some good, some not so good. But hey, we're not going to get depressed on here.
Why ever not?
Why ever not? Exactly that. And anyway, I think the way to sort of really get the synopsis going on this is it's all about growing up in the UK and a sort of a shared trip down memory lane, really, from both of us, both our angles. So I think we'll kick things off, really. We're saying sort of where you sort of grew up and stuff like that. But I think we'll try and keep this to sort of primary level.
Okay.
So that's to about 11, 12 years of age, because we could always do a follow-up with secondary.
It's from 4 to 11, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't matter. It's from 0 to 11, actually, because it's our memories.
Okay.
But before we do one thing, can I just clear something up?
Yes.
The title in the video, we've called it, right, Wagon Wheels and Welly Boots. Yeah?
Yeah.
Can I just clear something up about wagon wheels? The amount of people I have met over the years have said, them wagon wheels have got smaller. What do you say to that comment?
Yeah, because I can remember when you was a child, it was a big biscuit, chocolate,
Right,
and it
stop.
was a treat.
Stop
and now
now.
they're the size of a 1p bit.
Right, stop. Wagon wheels haven't got smaller.
They have.
Or bigger, should I say, or smaller. They haven't got smaller. Your hands have got bigger.
It's like a tin of Quality
No,
Street.
it's not. It's you were little. You had diddly little hands, and as you grow, your hands got bigger. So they just. So I want to destroy this myth now that wagon wheels have got smaller. Anyway, over to you, the viewers at home or listeners at home. Email in rob@ogduffy.com. Do you agree or disagree with that statement? They haven't got smaller. Our hands got bigger. That's how I view it. Anyway, so over to you first. Growing up, whereabouts did you grow up, Nick?
I grew up in the countryside.
You did?
In the middle of nowhere. And I was there for, until I met you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, I lived out in the middle of nowhere near Tenston.
So I was lucky enough to come and view the property you lived in. It was, seriously, I remember the first time I ever stayed there.
Yeah.
And you had an asthmatic sheep in the field next door to you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that thing kept me awake all night.
It
honestly,
wheezed, poor thing.
I couldn't sleep very well there.
Well, because you've got, it was, I loved it, and it's the one thing I miss. You've got nightingales, nightjars singing at night. You've got the foxes screaming. Foxes do scream, and
This
they
is all
used
just
to,
another language to me.
Yeah, but we did have a poor old sheep next door. He was very well looked after. They were pet sheep, so he was very well looked after. But yeah, I forgot to warn you when you first came to stay.
Yeah, asthmatic sheep howling, strange noises in the night.
Yeah.
That countryside living, it weren't for me. Trust me.
I miss it terribly.
I never lived it, so yeah, I can't miss. You can't miss what you haven't had, they say.
Oh.
So that's where you grew up. I grew up in South London, and then at a young age we moved out of London to Kent, and then we moved back to London, and then eventually we moved out of London and come back to Kent, where I stayed, or we stayed.
Yeah, see, I've never even moved out. I've never even moved house till I moved in with you.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's sort of our early years, and I've got great memories of London. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but quite often my parents say they moved us out really because if they hadn't, I don't know where I'd be now.
Things were changing then, weren't they?
Things never changed. It was rough then, but I don't know where I'd have ended up. Anyway, so we're going to have a little chat now about some sort of TV and pop culture at the time. So sort of from up to sort of like your 11 years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So sort of after school shows that we'd watch, that sort of stuff. Sunday morning TV, things like that you can remember. I have one TV show that is standout for me for them years. And do you know what it is?
Not Games Master.
No. We're going to about 11 or 12.
Oh,
Games Master wasn't out then, mate. I'm not.
okay.
I'm not that young. I might look it, but I'm not. Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon.
I used to go and watch the Smurfs on TV.
Oh, okay.
I loved the Smurfs growing up, the cartoon. That was my go-to every Sunday afternoon. About 1:30 it was, something like that. Used to go and watch the Smurfs with Gargamel, Papa Smurf, Smurfette. Yeah, it was good. Happy memories. That's one TV show from that time in my life that really does stick out. What about for you?
But the only thing that I could really, really remember, and I don't know if this is secondary, was Noel Edmonds' Swap Shop.
Noel Edmonds' Swap Shop.
I used to love that with Keith Chegwin, that's
Checkers.
no longer with us.
Yeah,
And Maggie Philbin, was it?
that's right. Yeah. I remember my dad quite liked her.
Yeah, she was
Tiz
very,
was.
very
On
attractive.
Tiz was.
No, she wasn't.
She did Tiz was, didn't she?
No,
Did she not?
I don't think so. Well, I don't know, because I never watched Tiz Was.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, no, I remember I used to like Swap Shop.
Yep.
I used to enjoy Noel Edmonds' Swap Shop. I didn't watch TV after school.
Did you not?
No, because where we lived, you could go out just across the fields for miles and I used to spend all my time outside, or I was doing some sort of craft even then. And TV, I can remember... Oh, tell I used to watch Blue Peter.
Someone gave you a Blue Peter badge recently, didn't they?
Yes.
For Christmas. It was a Christmas thing. This lad down at the club you go to, he done everyone a Blue Peter badge.
That was good. It's on my craft bag.
Yeah, will be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was our TV memories. What we got next? And Sundays growing up. I mean, I can remember Sundays back then. It was dull. I remember Sundays being really boring because basically nothing was open. The only thing that would be open would be sort of your petrol stations, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And your news agent would be open in the morning, but they'd close about 11, half 11 or whatever.
No, we didn't.
There was just nothing to do. Nothing was open, was it?
No.
The pubs at lunchtime would be open, but obviously we're talking before I was drinking. And they could go down, but then they'd close at like 2:30, and that was it till 7 o'clock in the evening.
No, I never lived anywhere near a pub.
Yeah. But no, Sundays, I always remember being very, very dull and boring.
So what did you do on a Sunday?
What did I do on a Sunday?
Yeah.
Basically, I'd wait for the Smurfs,
Right, for
I
the
think.
Smurfs.
Or go out with my mates and run around housing estates doing dodgy things, which is probably another story for another day on a different podcast. Yeah, but no, Sundays were generally really, really pretty dull. TV was dull. I mean, we'd have a bit of cartoon time with a certain person we can't really talk about anymore. They've even ruined that for us, haven't they?
Who's?
Who? All right, I'll give you a clue. Say what it is.
Oh,
Guess what
okay.
it is, yeah?
Yes.
Remember him?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
he was a dodging, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sorry.
yeah, so Sundays were dull, mate. They were just boring.
yes,
boring,
they
boring.
were. Yeah.
And-
They were a day of rest, whether you wanted to rest or not.
Do you know my worst memory growing up about Sundays? It was come about 7, half 7, whatever time it was. Because bear in mind, we only had 3 TV stations, didn't we, before Channel 4 come along.
Can I guess?
Go on.
Da, 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 da.
Yes, Antiques,
me.
bloody
Been
roadshow.
going for years. That was going when my dad was alive.
And even now, as soon as I hear that music, it takes me back to being a kid and thinking, oh, I've got to go, get up, I've got school tomorrow, because we're coming to school in a minute. But yeah, so the Sundays were just dull as ditch water. But the worst thing about Sundays as well, there's a lot to moan about for a Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday school. Did you ever have to go to Sunday school?
Yeah, because I went to a Christian school, C of E school. And, well, you know where it was, because we got married in the church.
And it was next door
So
to
the church was opposite.
No, opposite, sorry.
Opposite.
My memory's not as good as
So,
yours. I never went there.
yeah, part of going to school, we went to Sunday school every Sunday morning. I used to not like it.
My memory of Sunday school was this.
Like
There was me and my 2 brothers, both older than me. And Mum and Dad, I think they wanted the house to themselves on a Sunday morning. So they sent us to Sunday school.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
So they sent us to Sunday school. Anyway, because I was younger than my 2 brothers, they went to a different version of it. And I had to go to like a lower class.
Oh,
It was either
in
lower,
the same place?
Well,
Because
I
we was all
believe
mixed
so.
in together.
No, it weren't like that.
Oh,
It
no,
was a
we
bit
were all
different.
mixed in together.
And I think they were in Boys Brigade and all that old nonsense and all.
Okay,
But anyway,
lovely.
I digress as always. So I'd go into this Sunday school, and I remember it. I'd done it for about 4 weeks. And the only good thing about it was Mum and Dad would give you like 20 pence to put in the plate, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember that.
But you didn't have money then. We didn't have money. There weren't a lot of money about. So I would never put that money in the plate. That bought me a packet of sweets, mate. I weren't giving to the Holy Lord. He's got enough. I thought, I need some sweets. So I used to get myself some sweets. But the other side of the coin was, I can remember sitting in there and feeling stupid. That's my only memory. I felt absolutely stupid in there because all the kids, every week, we were given something to learn from the Bible.
A paragraph.
And you had to all stand up and recite this. I'm not getting into religion on here, but I have my beliefs about religion, and I'm not going to cover them here.
Everybody has their own.
But anyway, to me, it was just nonsense. It was like, you've got me this book of fairy tales, and you're asking me to remember them.
Yeah.
If it was interesting, I could, but there was no interest to it at all. I hated it.
Did you get something for that?
I can't remember because I never succeeded. I could never do it because I didn't want to learn that nonsense, and I didn't learn that. I was very stubborn. And anyway, but I can remember them all, and I even back then I can remember the teachers there and that. They would treat me a little bit different, and you could feel it at that age because I think they felt sorry for me because I had no interest in this, and I was just really quiet, and I hated it, and I didn't want to be there, and because I was just so secluded, probably put myself in a corner and wouldn't talk to people. I think they were genuinely a bit concerned about me. Anyway, I think I had to go for 3 or 4 weeks because then what happened? It transpires. I was at home one night with me, my brothers, Mum and Dad were watching telly in midweek evening. Anyway, he sort of looks out the window and there's a knock at the door. Just like that. My 2 elder brothers looked at each other with a bit of panic on their face. It was only the people from the church had come round the house, right? I don't forget this. Mum and Dad answered the door, and I'm like, "Yeah, hello." They said, yes, your children come to Sunday school." Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was the only one that was going. My 2 brothers were dropping me off, and they were going off and sitting in the park for 2 hours on the swings and that. Spent their plate money on the sweets, and they made me go. And anyway,
that's cruel.
They come round.
That's me.
No, but the church turned up at the door and said to my mum and dad, well, they haven't been attending, and they dobbed them in. Anyway, after that, luckily, thank you, church, for coming out to check up on us, because I never had to go again.
Well, no, I suppose if the other 2 weren't going, it wasn't worth...
It was awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sundays. What are your memories of Sundays, people? Do drop them in and I'll read them out on the next podcast. Rob at OGDuffy.com. Let's move this on. Moving on now to another very moany and negative space for me, and that is school days. Again, we're talking primarily school, primary. I hated school. I could not stand it. For me, the whole thing was just boring. I was just like, oh, God. I enjoyed socialising, messing about with my mates and that, but I've got a few memories from school, and we'll cover some different angles, but the school system in London when I was growing up then was different to here. In respect of here, we have like a primary school, and then you go to secondary school.
Yeah.
In London, you had like a primary school, then a middle school, and then from middle school, you'd go to high school.
Yeah, some counties still... We've still got, I think that there was one on the island, but...
I think it sounds more glamorous when they say high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely weren't cheerleaders and people driving around in motor cars and all that nonsense. There was nothing like that. And but anyway, how was school for you?
Not good.
We both hated school.
No, not good. Actually, when you said we're going to talk about this, I wrote one word down: miserable.
Me or school?
No, me. It was a really miserable time for me.
Was it?
Yeah, it was awful.
But surely being in a primary school, it was small and...
And I think that was the problem. I mean, I went to... There was only about 30, if that, in the whole school. Everybody knew everybody. But the problem was I was so incredibly shy at school.
Yeah.
And I was really introverted. So the only thing I ever got any pleasure out of was we did sewing and art and things like that. And I was bullied the whole time I was there.
Even in a setting that small.
Even in a setting that small, I was bullied.
I think as well, thinking back, bullying and that, you know what I mean? It was...
You just had to get on with it.
Yeah, and I don't think the teachers intervened like they do now. And if you went home and said to your parents about it, your parents were like, "Oh, just crack on, mate." You know what I mean?
Yes, I can remember trying to talk about it and not... To various people, teachers, you know...
Never happened, mate.
No, that doesn't happen here.
Did you ever have any fights at school?
I personally wouldn't get into not fisticuff fights. That's not me, is it? But I can remember an incident, and I had a lunchbox for some reason, and I can remember they were my so-called friends. I can see it so vividly now. Excuse me. We had a bit of a bank that was sloped down to get on the bus and that have you. I remember sitting on the bank waiting, and they got hold of my bag and they just threw everything out of my bag, and it was just a miserable time. And I'll be honest, I try not to think about it. It was
I can remember
horrible.
one fight in school.
Horrible.
It was it was in primary school in London. This was, and it was sort of I think it was a lunchtime, and there was a lad. We were on a climbing frame, and he was my mate actually. James, he must have been Polish because his surname was Pachakowski.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, his dad might have been his
Polish.
mum, yeah.
But anyway, he was. I don't know why I'm saying Polish, but I think he must have said something about home of Poland. But I mean, one day we were on climbing, and he said something to me, and whatever, shut up or whatever. And we had a bit of panic, and I punched him straight in the face. Right, I caught him straight on. I just caught him on the nose, and his nose just went pop. Oof. And there was blood everywhere, and it was
you get
pouring.
a lot of blood from nosebleed.
Pouring. I didn't mean to. It just it was lucky, anything. And it was just pouring out of his nose. And I remember he went running to the you sort of had not
dinner ladies.
Yeah. But the thing is, as kids then, you respected the dinner ladies as much as you did the teachers. Yeah. And it was like, oh my God. And this dinner lady come charging over because obviously she just saw blood everywhere and started having. And I remember I just ran out the school gate and ran home. I never went back.
Oh, you were
not that day. I didn't go back. I had to go back, but not that day.
So how far did you live from the school?
It was probably about a 10-minute walk.
Yeah, see, I was nearly 3 miles away.
Yeah. And on a positive note as well, both my parents worked very long hours and that.
My mum and dad both worked.
And I didn't have a key to get in, so I just went at home, sat in the back garden for a few hours, until school finished. And I met my mates or whatever.
Reflecting on this, I don't want to get all miserable because, it's been and gone. But if I knew now what I would have done then, I probably would have walked out of school and never gone back. Yeah. I think...
Different times though, wasn't it, mate? People weren't as understanding times. And all that. And...
I can remember trying to talk to one of the dinner ladies, and she just like, well, that
shut up,
go away.
Do one. Yeah, I'm busy gossiping. Yeah. Get out of here.
It's sad though, isn't it?
It is sad, but it is what it is, and but it's what's made you the person you are today.
Yeah, true, but...
So although it's negative, you've got to find the positives in these stuff.
And this is why I hate bullying of any form, verbal, anything, when I worked in the school, that was the one thing I clamped down on.
But let's lift the spirit of this. Let's go back and reminisce. School dinners and packed lunch boxes. When I was in London, I used to get school dinners.
Yes, because you had to have a school dinner. When there was none of this, when I was at primary, you had to have school dinner. There was none of these packed lunches.
Did you enjoy school dinners?
Not really. Because, me, although I seem to be always eating when you're videoing, I don't eat a lot. And for me, you had a huge dinner and a big pudding, and it was probably the only hot meal you got in the day, which was good because parents didn't have to cook for you. They used to make you eat everything.
I remember that. You had to eat it all, and if you didn't... I used to
struggle so much.
And you had to eat, and I hate vegetables. That's probably where my hatred of vegetables comes from.
Oh, okay.
Because when I was at school, you had to finish everything on your plate, as you know, peas a lot. And even now, I hate peas. You'll say, if I go for a Chinese or whatever, and I order a beef curry, or whatever, I always say, no peas, get the peas off there. And I think my hatred of peas comes from school dinners.
It probably does.
It's being forced to eat it all.
yellow, no,
And
pink custard.
oh, you're about. And I was just coming onto this, and you beat me to it.
Oh,
Bloody custard! I tell you what. To this day,
I love custard.
no,
now.
growing up at
pink.
home, yeah, Mum used to do custard right on a Sunday dinner after your
Yeah.
dinner, and I used to love custard. Then I went to primary school, and they used to hand round these aluminium jugs. Remember them big metal jugs?
Yeah. Oh no.
Filled with. Can I
Did you
describe
do
it?
your own? Pour it out.
Well, I think the dinner lady would do
Oh,
it,
yeah,
but she'd
no,
walk round
yeah.
with it. Yeah, because if you had to pour your own out, I wouldn't have had it, would I?
No, no.
It was always lumpy. It had like this big thick skin on it. Oh, it was disgusting. And it was either pink or green, or it was really crappy, bizarre, horrible colours. And I remember, and they used to make me, they would force you.
Yeah, they force you
you
to
ain't
eat
going. You can't go for your playtime until you've eaten that. God's sake, I tell you. And they wonder why we hated school so much.
But you know the one pudding I remember that I really and I still dislike to this day.
Go on. That's me banging the table.
And it's native to Kent kind of thing.
Gypsy tart.
Oh,
That's because it makes you fart.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, it's very unique flavour, isn't it?
Gypsy
tart.
I mean, I've got a really sweet tooth, but I don't know this.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm not keen on, but I'm not a sweet person anyway.
Well, I am,
Yeah.
and I could never.
But I know we're only focusing really on.
But it used to be handy because Gypsy tart was really popular in our little school. So I used to be. I remember sort of saying, "Do you want my Gypsy tart?" And people would say, "Yeah." And so
So it was your little primary school in the countryside there. It was a bit like the prison yard, wasn't it? You're buying favour with food. Yeah. I'll give you my Gypsy tart if you don't steal my art book.
Yeah.
Oh, deal. Yeah. But school dinners were pretty ropey.
They were ropey, but what a great idea they were.
It was good. And do you remember milk? Break times.
Oh, I used to love that.
Yeah.
The little milk. I've got one of those here.
Yeah, you used
the
to get-
little milk bottles.
At
first
break, you'd get the little milk.
Yeah.
And you'd give it a little straw to pop through.
Oh, I used to love it.
And do you remember as well, the birds used to peck.
In the winter,
They'd
because
peck
they were
the
left
lids,
out.
the little
'cause
silver lids off.
the milkman used to come round about
To
4
eat the
o'clock,
cream.
5 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I used to love it.
Yeah, and it was good because at break time you'd get your little bottle of milk.
Yeah.
And
I
that
used to
was
have
a
a little
government thing.
snack. Used
That-
to,
yeah, that was
and
a
see,
government thing.
that's the thing. They've cut that.
Well, they
way
said
back
Thatcher
now.
was the one who took that away. Apparently, I don't know. Don't quote me if I'm right or wrong. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we're not
One of
getting
you
into
will know,
politics.
but yeah, but I'm sure it's Thatcher that ended the kids' milk, and we used to have that at the morning break. Then you'd have your lunch break where you'd given a meal, albeit ropey, and then you'd have your afternoon break.
Afternoon
as well.
play. We had
Yeah,
afternoon
so
play,
did
but
I.
we didn't have anything to eat or drink.
There weren't a national curriculum. Sort of teachers made it up as they went along. I would say happy days, but it was school. I didn't like it. You didn't like it.
No, it wasn't for me.
Not good. But on one positive note about school is I made some good friends and I had some ropey friends as well.
Yeah.
But in the part of London we were in, where it was it was a bit of a ropey estate. And I can remember going back to a few of the kids' houses after school and what have you. And you saw another side of life, mate.
Yeah, see, you was
really
brought
did.
up in a city, and I was brought up in the country. Very different.
Yeah, but you see, I saw another side of life, and if anything, it taught me a lot of social skills, and it taught me how
Yeah,
to
so
sort of not judge people, but how to gauge people.
See, I never
and-
had any of
and
that.
things like that. Yeah, and I think that's quite good. That's how I always view school. I
Yeah.
always say to people, look, if you don't like school, just go there. It teaches you to spot
Life.
the idiots.
Life skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, have you spoken enough about your past at school?
I'm a bit feel a bit traumatised now.
We're gonna have to cut the.
I need a drink, and I don't drink.
One positive though, I know I'm skipping ahead to secondary slightly, and I'm only just touching on this because my secondary days were a lot better. But yeah, school dinners in secondary school were absolutely amazing. I would go up because they had pizza, they had cheeseburgers, they had hot dogs, they had chips, and you could choose what you wanted. And every day I'd go up and I'd say, double cheeseburger and chips. And they'd give me two.
Every day?
Every day, without fail. I'd have two
okay.
cheeseburgers on my plate, and then I'd ask for double or triple chips. And the reason being is they give you one sort of scoop now, a bit like Weatherspoons. They give you one scoop, but if I got a couple of scoops, I could hide one of the cheeseburgers under the chips. And then when it comes to paying at the end, because it was like, you get to the end, and I'd only pay for one
we had,
burger instead of two. So that's a little positive note. And have you got a positive note about food?
Donuts. I can remember when they started making donuts at primary school.
Making them fresh.
Oh yeah, all the dinner ladies.
Was it pumped jam into the?
Yes, she did it all. I can't remember her name, but she was a lovely dinner lady.
Yeah.
I mean,
you should have hung around her more often.
but yeah, I can remember that is the one. And of course, everybody loves a donut, don't they?
And I'm not being rude as well. If you're a school catering dinner lady and you've only got cake for 30, that's a cushy little number, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd be like, beans on toast today, full McHugh.
Yeah.
Oh, what again? Shut up.
Yeah.
And I've got some lovely custard for you.
When he was in the school. Well, we had the little class, middle class, and upper class. That was it. We only had 3 classes. So our school, you started at one end of the building and worked your way up.
And do you remember school assemblies?
Every day.
Every single day. And do you know what? We would sing songs.
I loved it. Actually, I did enjoy that.
But I think that's something we should, well, I say we should. We won't now. It won't happen. But I think they should do things like that.
Because our school was what we call upper school, when you was due to leave.
Yeah.
And everybody used to come in there. That's how, and all the lower class and middle class just used to sit along the back on benches. That's how tiny it was.
Yeah.
But I can also remember one of my happiest memories of school, which there wasn't many.
Yeah.
We used to have a full-on Christmas dinner and
Christmas
Christmas party.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And they used to cook all that from fresh, and and I can remember being taken and used to stir the Christmas pudding. Not that I like Christmas pudding. Stir the Christmas pudding and make a wish.
You had to make a wish. What did you wish for? Can you remember?
No.
I wish that bully would just sod off or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
But you think they used to cook all that? And that used to be good. That used to be our party day.
And I think as well, I mean, they talk about, I know we're getting a little bit political, but like, that footballer from Man United was doing about the kids' meals and all that. Yeah. But again, back then, we had a cooked meal every single day via school. Even if you couldn't afford to feed your kids or whatever, you could at least know they were getting a good meal.
Especially in the winter.
Yeah. You'd have a hot meal and a pudding every day.
And a pudding.
And a milk
drink.
at break time.
Yeah, and we always had water at lunchtime.
Yeah. But getting back to them songs we used to have to sing assemblies, do you remember?
Yeah, assemblies.
Do you remember Kumbaya, my lord, Kumbaya?
No, we used to do like Morning Has Broken.
Yeah, no, there were so many classics though.
Yeah.
Morning has broken.
And do the Lord's Prayer.
The Lord's Prayer, yes, I can still recite the Lord's
every
Prayer.
day.
Learned that through primary school. It was just standard. You did it
every day.
But so many other songs was.
While shepherds watch their flocks by night, wash their socks, as we used to sing as kids.
Was it? She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes, and all
Jerusalem,
that.
Jerusalem,
all of them. Anyway. That's enough about school days. We're moving you on before I have to employ a therapist to get you over it all. Oh dear. God, I think I'll need another beer at this rate.
I think I need one.
I'll see what I can do for you. Mrs. OG's just been and got me another can of beer, and she's just taken the Valium, she says, to calm herself from all that reminiscing of the negativity of primary school. Anyway, on a more positive, upbeat note, we're going to talk now about, he says, looking at his notes, toys and fads growing up. And obviously we're only going to go from... so for me, this would have been sort of pre-video game, because it's primary school level. Although there were video games in my life then, but we won't really touch it. Well, I might.
Yeah.
But one memory I have was I had this old cigar box, right? Proper wooden cigar box. Because my granddad then, well, one of my granddads, Billy the Fish, we called him, because he liked to drink. He loved to drink. You met Billy a few times, didn't you?
Man, yeah.
And anyway, yeah, he loved drinking and he loved smoking giant cigars.
So you had a cigar box, is what you're trying to say.
But
Get to
no, he would use cigars and empty the boxes. And he'd give me the cigar boxes. And I used to get cards, collectible cards. I used to get little cards in cigarette packets
like
and stuff
football
like that.
cards.
Football cards. And I remember I collected Star Wars cards. They were by a company called Topps, which is still going today. They're still a really big manufacturer. And I've got the original Star Wars cards from my youth. And I've still got that very same cigar box upstairs with all of the cards that I collected from back then. I've got some Star Wars ones in there. I've not got a full set. I'm probably only missing about 8 cards. You can get them all on eBay.
Look online. Do it.
But then it wouldn't be the same because
Yeah, I suppose that's a childhood.
Yeah, they're from there.
Nostalgia.
I've got a little tobacco collecting cards in there as well. I've got some football ones, and I even got some from Superman the movie, Christopher Reeves.
Yes.
Because they used to come in and you'd have a bubble gum and the cards.
Yeah.
Do you remember them? Bubblegum cards they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were really good. And that's one memory I sort of remember. Anyone from you?
My memory's not very good because I'm a little bit older than you, and my memories are a little bit different. I didn't have comics or anything like that.
I had a comic. I used to go and get the Eagle. Yeah, we'll come to that.
Didn't have comics. What's a toys or a fad?
Fads, anything like that you had at the time.
John.
I mean, there was things like Pogs, weren't there? These were later years and sort of video games. And was there anything you ever collected or anything?
I never collected anything.
Did you ever remember Scooby-Doo's when they first come out?
No.
I lived in London when Scooby-Doo's first come out. They were like them plastic wire things.
I got them for the kids in school. They loved them, didn't they?
I remember when we were working in school together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both, isn't it weird? We both hated school, but yet we both ended up
working in school.
Oh, hum.
No, the only thing I can remember...
Yeah.
Well, because I've always been into my art and craft, as you know. So what pocket money I did have, or money that my granddad used to give us money. I used to go. We had this shop in Tenterden, and I can't remember what it was called.
Beer o'clock. Go on.
And I used to buy pens and pencils and colouring arty things.
Rubbers.
So I mean, I can remember the old Woolworths.
Pick and mix.
I don't even remember Pick and Mix.
I used to borrow things from Pick and Mix.
My auntie, bless her.
I still do. I still borrow the odd item from a Pick
My
and Mix.
auntie, I always remember saying this. She went and she got herself some Pick and Mix. And while she was walking round Woolworths, because you could walk round there and look at anything and everything.
That's right, it sold everything.
She ate the whole bag.
You've just reminded me of something.
She said it wasn't done intentionally.
Every time I used to go shopping with my old dad, bless him, right? We used to go on a Saturday because Mum would work Saturdays. So it was his job with me in tow or whoever, if we weren't out with our mates. We'd go shopping. And I always remember every single shopping trip, right, bless him, he would always get a packet of peanuts, because he loved nuts, my old man. He'd get himself a packet of peanuts, he'd crack them, and he'd walk around doing the shopping, eating these nuts. Yeah. And then he'd find an aisle with, say, baked bean cans in or whatever, and he'd look either way, and he'd get the evidence, and he'd hide the evidence behind all the cans.
Well, they didn't have all cameras then, did they?
No, there's no cameras in that. He said, just in case, son, just in case. Or a packet of crisps or whatever. But even my mum, when we used to go shopping with her occasionally, she used to always give us a packet of crisps or whatever. So there you go.
I remember doing that with Josh, actually.
Yeah, she says they don't mind.
Yeah.
I think the best one he ever got from a supermarket, though, slab of lager.
Yeah, well, that was a genuine mistake.
He used to put it on the bottom of the trolley.
Yeah,
because you had like an extra rack, and he put all his shopping fruits one Christmas, and he forgot about it. And we got out to the car and said, "Oh, that's a shame." Anyway, next Christmas,
that's a shame.
Next Christmas, he done exactly the same thing. So I don't think it was. He didn't then. I think he was just like, "That's a freebie for me. It's Christmas, isn't it?"
Christmas.
Get a little bonus off the supermarkets. But anyway, yeah, so hobbies and interests are you really your sort of
Yeah, so I didn't I can't remember any fads or anything. I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember some fads. I remember Scooby-Doo's when they first come out. I remember these they were really good.
Clacker things. And they used to go but they
make a noise.
They used to ban them because they said they were dangerous.
And we used to have conker fights back in the day. Remember them?
Yeah, used to do conker fights.
Yeah, many a racked knuckle with them, I tell you.
I can't remember any
major fads or anything.
I can't, no.
I'm just trying to remember, and I can't recall many fads.
I think it's quite a new thing, like Pokemon and Tamagotchis.
Nothing really like that, was there?
There was nothing.
No.
That you had to have. Like
the other thing I do remember, I had the cards. I loved collecting the little cards and all that sort of stuff. And I used to get them in cereal packets and all sorts. And they're just all in my little cigar box.
I have remembered something.
Go on.
We used to collect the pin badges of the jams.
Oh, I remember them. Yeah, they were great.
They were
great. Do you know what, though? As controversial as they are now, rightly and wrongly, I wonder what they're worth.
I must have some here somewhere.
And equally, I wonder if you're actually still allowed to buy and sell them, Which I would say is quite... it's a weird one because, it's just a shame and it's just something
But they used to be good fun.
You had to collect the stamps off the jars.
Yeah. And then you used to send off and then you'd get a free badge through the post.
You had to eat a lot of... How many vouchers did you have to collect to get a pin badge?
I don't think I did that many.
I wonder how much they're worth. They've got to be worth something, them badges, I reckon.
I must have some here somewhere.
Robertson's
jam.
Was it Robinson's or Robertson's? I can't remember. Yeah, but I remember them.
Yeah. So I can remember collecting the tokens and we used to send away for those. Yeah. And the little weighed animals. That was quite a fad.
I remember you telling me about that before. I don't remember.
Yeah, because I saw some in the charity shop and I picked them up because I said, "Oh yeah, I remember those."
Yeah. But the other thing I liked, which is sort of sits alongside the cards, was my mum used to work in Tooting Market, so school holidays I'd quite often go to Tooting with her for the day, and I had to sort of entertain myself while they were working and whatever. So I used to mooch around the streets of Tooting. And there was this newsagent there that always had stacks and stacks of stickers and sticker albums.
Okay.
And every time sort of something new come out, like the Flash Gordon movie that you love so much, there was a sticker album for it. And I used to save as much money as I could to go and buy a packet of stickers at a time, or ponce one off my uncle or whatever, you know what I mean? And yeah, I used to get these sticker albums. I spent hours on them sticker albums. Yeah, they were good.
Have you got any of them hidden away?
I don't know. They might be somewhere. If anything, they'll be up in the loft, maybe.
We've got a couple of those big boxes to go through.
I loved all that. Anyway, should we move on to the next segment?
Let's go on to the next item.
We've already touched on this in a way, but we're going to talk about snacks at the time, food in general, stuff like that, What are your memories of snacks and tuck shops and things?
Never had a tuck shop. Never had a tuck shop until we went to secondary.
Yeah, I was the same.
That didn't open until I was halfway through secondary school. We had a little sweet shop right next door to my primary school, but we weren't allowed to go in there only on the last day of term. Big terms like Christmas, summer and Easter.
The school wouldn't allow you in, or your parents
Mum
wouldn't
and
allow
Dad wouldn't let us in, because it was a lot, to buy sweets every day was a luxury in them days.
You didn't have the cash, did you?
No. Yeah. So that used to be our treat, to go in there. On the last day of term, Mum and Dad give us a bit of money to go in there.
To buy yourself
some sweets.
Nice.
That was nice, yeah.
That's a positive memory.
Yeah.
I can remember on a Saturday morning, there'd be me and my brothers. Mum went to work early because she was a florist then in Tooting Market. And, Dad would be at home with us or whatever. And we used to have to dare each other who was going to go and ask Dad for our pocket money. Because I'll be honest, they had so little money. Because when you think back then, our parents and growing up and everything else, and I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, we'll come back to the food bit in a minute. They didn't have the money like credit cards and all. Credit cards didn't exist, mate. You didn't have it. If you couldn't afford it, you weren't getting it, mate. It was simple as that. There was none of this. I think you could get a telly on rental and maybe your white goods, like a washing machine and that. But no, talking about the food and snacks, on the day that he had the money to give us for a bit of pocket money, I used to go up to the local shop and I used to get myself the Eagle magazine or Eagle comic and bonbons. Strawberry,
bonbons,
but they would be weighted. There'd be the jar, and I say, can I have so many grams or whatever the weightage was? I can't remember how it was done. And I used to say, oh yeah, can I have like 15 pence worth of that, please? That's it, 15p worth in the scale, And then in a little paper bag,
yeah,
do that. And do you remember the penny sweet counters?
Yes.
Oh, I loved them. Blackjacks, fruit salads. Yeah. Quite often go in there. But yeah, snacks from our youth. So that's one of them. The penny sweets was good.
Penny sweets, yeah. You used to get a lot of penny sweets in them days for your 10 pence worth, didn't you? Well,
them. Right, here's one. Them little corner shops used to have some lovely displays with all the boxes out with all the penny sweets. You'd say, I want one of them, two of them, and all that, right? Anyway, this one day, me and my brother had gone to this corner shop. We used to go in there quite often. Anyway, and he had a freezer at one end, and because we were only small, we had to sort of hold each other's ankles while we went over the top to try and dig to the bottom to get the lollies or whatever. So we're digging away, getting there. Anyway, we've gone to the counter, and the bloke who ran the shop said to my brother, he went, "You stole a lolly." And no, I haven't. I said, yes, you have. You put it down your trousers.
Oh, what?
I went, I haven't. He said, I'm going to search you.
Oh.
Right? Obviously, different times.
Yes, different times.
So he did. He searched him, and he, Anyway, we got home. Dad come home from work. Good day, boys, and all that. And my brother, well, no, not really. I got accused of this, and he searched me. My old man. He did what? No, he knew the shop, and he didn't know the bloke, but he knew the shop he was on about. He said, right, okay. He said, get in the car. He drove down there. He went, which one? That shop there? He said, right, yep. And he left the motor. He went, wait here. He went in there, and he's told us the story later on, obviously. He went in, he said, do you ever lay a hand on my boy again?
Yeah.
He said, I will go. And what he done, he had this lovely shop counter with his display. The old man completely trashed his display, went in, wrecked the display, and said, you never lay a hand on my boy again, Yeah. So we were then banned from that shop. But not by the owner, by my dad.
Yeah.
You never go in there again. You never go in there. But now, thinking back, putting your... Well, yeah, it's a form of assault, actually, the way he wanted to... It's dodgy. Dodgy as, mate.
Not good.
Cool, not good, mate. Different times, honestly, different times. But anyway, snacks and goodies and takeaways. So snacks and goodies, I can remember the sweets were good. And the one lolly I do recall when it first come out ever was the Feast.
Oh, okay.
It's like, so if you've never had a Feast, let me describe it to you. It's like a lump of chocolate on a stick with chocolate ice cream and then covered in chocolate with like little bits of, they're either nut or biscuit, and I think it's probably more biscuit than nut.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
And they were called, maybe Walls made them, I don't know, but they're called Feast. You can still get a Feast today. But I remember me and my brother and a couple of mates in the park, we got addicted to these
Feasts, yeah.
and we used to, I found an income source to go and feed my Feast addiction.
Lovely.
Again, that's another story for another day.
Another day.
Yeah, and yeah, I loved Feast lollies. That was one standout memory as well. And one thing I remember buying once in a corner shop was some E.T. biscuits. They were like in little packets. There was 3 biscuits in a packet. And because E.T. was all the rage and was the big sort of movie at the time and everything else, these biscuits, you'd open them up, and they were only like sort of like custard creams looking back or something like that, but they were really funky colours. So made to look a bit spacey,
okay.
Ooh, like, I'm eating E.T. biscuits, look, novelty items, complete novelty items.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously the fruit salads and blackjacks and all them sort of twizzle things and all that. But yeah.
We did, considering where we lived, we did have an ice cream van come out once a week.
Oh, there you're talking ice cream van.
But it used to stop outside your house. Ben and I lived in the middle of it. And I can remember there was 2 types of lolly I liked, and one was called a love heart. And it was a chocolate love heart.
Yeah.
A chocolate heart, and it had like raspberry ripple going through it.
Ooh.
That was nice. And then I remember one other one, and it had like a jelly centre. I don't know what it was called.
Ice cream vans used to be quality, didn't you? You've taken me right back there, because they'd make that awful sound, and you'd go running out, and they always had like a display board in the window, didn't they?
Yeah.
And you'd like look, and they'd be like, oh wow.
Well, I can remember going there with 10p, and you used to get 2 ice creams.
Even now, when I go up to an ice cream truck, I quite often like saying, can I have a number 69?
Yeah. Sure, well, that's
a double 69. Do you remember you used to get a double? I think what they called 99s.
99s.
I call them a
never
69.
been 69.
Can I have a double 69, please? And it used to be like a twin cone, and you get 2 lots of ice cream, and you get a flake in it. Oof,
Yes, yeah.
oof. And do you remember the clams, the oyster clams? It was like an oyster shell,
Right,
and I think it had
vaguely,
marshmallow in the base.
Oh, okay.
They'd fill it with ice cream from the machine,
Yeah.
and then there was a bit of chocolate as well.
Oh, okay.
With, I think, a bit of dust in the sort of...
Oh.
I could be wrong. Hundreds and thousands on there as well, I think. And the other one I liked was... I can't remember the official name for it, but it had screwball. It was a screwball.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I've even ever had a screwball. Didn't it have the chewing gum at the bottom?
It was a cone-shaped plastic, and in the
Yeah.
bottom it was like a little circular section. And there was a circular chewing gum ball, so
Yeah.
you'd eat all your ice cream.
Because I've never liked chewing gum.
Yeah, and then you get down to
No.
that, and you down that and have that. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, ice cream trucks, you took me back with that one.
Well, he used to come out once a week. Only in the summer, I think. But then if you go on holiday, go, I won't be round next week, I'm on holiday.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Now, enough of the sweet treats.
Yep.
Let's get to the good stuff and the stuff I still adore and love today. Let's go back to takeaway meals growing up. Now, obviously, I'll come to you first, Nick, because where was your nearest takeaway and what was it?
Never had a takeaway. My nearest takeaway was 2 miles away, one in Headcorn, one in Tenterden. No, yeah, it was either Headcorn for the Chinese or Tenterden for fish and
But am I right in saying, no, growing up at primary school
Never
age, was there even a Chinese takeaway then?
Nothing. I never had a takeaway
Yeah,
until...
but you had fish and chip shop
Had fish and chips, but we never... Because we had to drive miles
to get it.
So I never had takeaway until...
See, I was in London, so obviously we had more options. But even
Never
back
had
then,
takeaways.
reflecting, right, when I was young in London, the nearest Macca's would have been, maybe 5-6 miles away. We had a fish and chip shop up the road. There was a Chinese takeaway, but that wasn't walking distance. And there was a kebab shop that my dad would get occasionally on a Thursday evening. He'd buy a doner kebab and some chips, and he'd cut it up into 4. So we all had to share this bit. Oh, mate, it was so delicious. It was so good. But you just didn't have the takeaways that we have now. Let's be honest. Look how many we got here now. It's mad.
I can remember when I met you.
And I introduced you to the world of food.
Oh, crumbs, yeah.
I opened your mind.
You said about McDonald's. Bearing in mind I don't eat McDonald's anyway. I have the ice cream and apple pie.
You have a McDonald's pancake breakfast.
I have a McDonald's now.
Macca's breakfast.
Now.
Yeah.
But when I met you, I'd only ever been to McDonald's 3 times.
See, I took you away from that life of misery and pain. I introduced you to all the good things in life.
I think that is the difference of living in the middle of nowhere and living in the city.
Options. I call that options. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Lots of choice. Because quite often we have this conversation. I know we're going off on a bit of a divergence here, but I could not. You'd say, I'd love to live back in the country, middle of nowhere and all that. I could not be bored. I'd be like Ozzy Osbourne. I'd end up walking about, getting lost, looking for a pub somewhere.
You would not be bored. There's so much to do.
Exactly, yeah. And if you think I want to spend my days cutting grass, trimming edges and bloody weeding vegetable plots, you've got another thing coming.
It's a different life altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. I quite like my life.
Yeah, well, I like my life, but...
I like my life. And I don't need to go to the countryside to engage further with it.
No, but I had to move into town with you.
Yeah. And aren't we all better for it, eh?
Yeah, I suppose life is a bit easier with shops nearer and...
I think life generally has just got so much easier. I mean, deliveries. I mean, back then...
we have our shopping delivered now.
You couldn't sit there and say, a phone of Chinese to be delivered. No one delivered. There was no delivery then. You had to get off your backside and go and get it. That's why we were fitter and healthier, because we could go and eat takeaway food and we had to walk there to get it and walk back to get it as well. Walk back with it.
I can remember when we had the Great Storm, 87?
87.
And we were one of the last areas to be put back on. We had no power for 2 weeks, solid, but we were really lucky because we had coal fire, so we had central heating, bearing in mind it was cold. So our house is lovely and warm, and Mum cooked on the open fire.
What did she cook on that?
Oh, all sorts of things. She
I
was
thought you
very
were going to say marshmallows.
You're very clever. Well, we used to do jacket potatoes in the
Grate.
grate at the bottom.
Marshmallows for tea? Oh, go on then.
No, and I can remember Dad saying, "We'll have a treat, and I'll take you. We'll go to the fish and chip shop in Tenterden." So we went to the fish and chip shop in Tenterden, and the guy said, "Oh, where have you come from?" And they said, "Well, we've got no power. We still haven't got any power." They couldn't believe we still hadn't got any power or.
This ties in nicely, actually, because as you say, as a treat, you went to get some fish and chips.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, I can remember there was like a Wimpy burger place. It might have even been a Wimpy near us.
Yeah.
But we would only ever go to something like that on our birthdays.
Yeah, Mum and Dad did take us on our birthday.
So 3 times a year we would get to go to a Wimpy for a treat because it was my birthday or one of my brother's birthdays. But there was no money for that sort of stuff.
No.
I mean, Mum once a week would have a Chinese takeaway on a Thursday night. She'd go and weigh in at Weight Watchers, and she worked hard, Mum. So she was working 6 days a week, and she was early hours and finishing late. And every Thursday, that was her treat. But it was only for her. We'd pull up in the motor, because every Thursday we'd go and do the sort of food shopping in B Jams or whatever it was.
Yeah, I used to go out, didn't you, food shopping.
You had to. And then you'd go and get the takeaway on the way home, and it was always a Chinese. That was Mum's treat.
Yeah, she liked
We didn't get any.
No.
But she had it. Bless her. Anyway.
No, we didn't have anything like that.
Ho-hum. Happy days, they say. Happy days.
Yeah.
To wrap up and conclude this podcast with just the two of us this time out, a question, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Is childhood better today or better when we were growing up? Tough question.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I had a lovely childhood. You know, Mum and Dad and Caroline. And
Yep.
I had a lovely childhood. I loved it. Is it better? Was it? I think it's tougher for children today. Social media.
Oh, that's
their
that's
phones.
awful.
And I can remember when I went from primary school to secondary school, I was still very young.
Yeah.
They seem to just grow up. That's it. They're in adulthood. There's none of this, that they don't seem to have a childhood, and I think that's a bit sad for some of them.
Okay, so you think it was better then than it is now?
Yeah, if it was
There's
me,
no wrong or right answer.
No, I know.
It's just your opinion. That's all.
Yeah.
No, I think you touched on the major element, which obviously is social media today.
Yeah.
I mean, I get a bit of trolling and all that, you know what I mean? And I'm a grown adult.
Yeah.
I know how to deal with it. I don't respond to it. That's how I deal with it. I don't. When I get these horrible trolly comments, they're just ignored or completely blanked and deleted. I don't respond to it at all, because my attitude is just don't feed a troll.
No.
If you feed it, it's going to come back to eat again, isn't it? You don't feed it, it gets hungry and goes on to someone else or something else. But no, I think now, imagine being like 11 and 12 and having that to deal with.
I
at
wouldn't
that
have
age.
coped with it. I wouldn't have coped with
Well,
it
imagine,
at all.
because as you said, you had an awful
I had an awful
time.
primary school.
So imagine then leaving school, going
and
home
having that.
into your safe shelter,
Yeah.
and then putting your phone on and getting a load of messages going at you again.
At least when I went home, that was
Mad.
my safe space.
Yeah.
They don't really. Some of these poor kids don't have a safe space, do they?
Yeah, it's very different
it's-
times. Very different
It's
times.
tough. I think it's tough for them.
I mean, they've got some positives, of course. I mean, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Like, look at the amount of food options they've got now. Oof.
And look at
Deliveries
life in
and all
general. Most. I know. Don't get me wrong. I know some families are really suffering at the moment,
Yeah.
but a majority of children do have most of what they would like to do or what they want to do.
I think because maybe money, rightly or wrongly,
Yeah.
is more readily available through credit and things like that. And that's probably wrong in itself, but hey. So I think we can agree that both childhoods got their positives, got their negatives, from both generations, really.
Yeah.
All right, so a little insight into our sort of past and a few of our memories. So it's now over to you good people at home. So I have a question for everybody, and it is this. What's one forgotten treat, toy, or TV show from your childhood that you wish could come back? And why,
Wow.
etc. So there's plenty of option there, plenty of scope, plenty of options. Do email them in and I'll read them out in a future episode. rob@ogduffy.com. I look forward to receiving them and hearing them myself.
That might jog my memory.
It might well
'Cause
jog
my
a few
memory's
memories.
terrible.
Yeah.
Remembering it's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Anyway, I've been OG Duffy. I hope you've enjoyed this.
And I've been Mrs. OG. Sorry, I was looking at my notes.
She was looking at her notes, bless her. She likes making notes, does Mrs. OG. And if you don't already do so, please subscribe to the podcast, the channel, and everything else. Leave us a review if you can. We much appreciate it. And we'll see you all, or hear you all, on the next one. And drop those emails in. Love to hear your thoughts. Laters.